The general discussion of the three topics of this evening are how to communicate using the 3 V's. Verbally, the words that you use; vocally, the way you project those words using your voice, as I'm doing now; and visually, the way that you look when you're projecting your words. And which of these 3 things do you think projects or communicates the bulk of your believability? Well, you're right, the visual. The words that you use, the way you project the words, are certainly very important on the radio shows, but visually, that is more than half of your communication comes across in the way that you look when you're doing that. But now I'll give you some tips about how you can communicate visually on the radio, too, because it's very important. Let's start off looking at well, this, again, is something that will show it kind of orchestrates the 3 V's of your vocabulary. You want to use distinctive words, any words that are your brand. I have people call me the marketing mentor. So I try to put that into my shows whenever I can, and so people will remember that and associate that with me. Verbosity, using long words, long sentences. You don't want to talk. You don't want to spend too much time making their long words or long sentences. You want to be pithy and quick to the point. So then, not staccato, not where it's point after point after point, but where you're able to communicate. I've had people on my show where I'll ask a question, and it's either the one extreme is yes or no. The other extreme is they just keep talking. I as the host, I've got to break in and stop them from talking. I asked one question of this one guest, and I said, well, tell me about yourself. And he said, well, there's not much to say. Well, could you expand on that? So you need to be able to speak a good length of answer, maybe 30 seconds if you're on a 3-minute show. Well, my show's a half hour, so I want people to talk with a little bit longer answers, but just know the length of the show, the velocity of the speed of your voice. Don't think that if you talk faster that you'll get more information across, because people can't remember it. So take the time to slow down and get your message across. It's better to get a fewer points across rather than have more points people don't understand. The viewpoint is do you have a sense of humor? Do you have if your topic is very stressful, or about reducing stress, or maybe about a tragic accident you've had, certainly you won't be using humor in it, but you may be able to communicate using personal stories, information about yourself. So your viewpoint is much like in your writing. It's your point of view. And then your passion that comes across, comes across in your body language, in your voice. People can hear it when you get excited about what you're talking about. You're passionate about it. So if you can communicate that in the radio, certainly, and get that passion, let that come across, because that's what you wrote the book about, is about your favorite topic, and you want to communicate that to the audience, because they're looking for that energy in you also, and that's what's going to communicate with them and resonate with them and get them involved with your message. So I think if you follow the 3 V's, we'll look at those now, starting with your verbal content. These are the actual words that you'll be using. And you may want to write out answers to questions. And you can have in the tutorial we talked about how to get on the show, as we said, that you can send a list of questions to the host. But you have that same list in front of you when you're doing your radio show from home. And you want to have an answer there ready to use, but not an answer you read. But you want to have certain words that will remind you what to say. But the focus is on the audience, not on you. That actually works very well, because it takes some pressure off you. So the focus of your information should be on using the word you. Here's how I can help you, because this information will help you. And if you can just keep using that focus on the audience, and they know that you're in their corner. The impact, certainly you want to have some element of controversy, if it's possible. You can't do that with every type of a book. I wrote some books about how to get a job. I'll use those as examples. But I can even stir some controversy on that topic. So if you can use that, or somehow when you're on the air, add some controversial aspect to it, that's what's going to get the phones ringing. That's what gets you asked back as a second-term guest also. The effect is, will you get them to buy? There's no real benefit of being a professional guest, but your objective is to obviously to get people to to purchase your book. But that doesn't mean that you're always saying, here, buy my book, buy my book. It's information that will help them solve their problem, and that's the key.